Hey, hey, hey.
How's everyone doing? Can you turn it a little bit? No, this way? Yeah, that way. Hey, y'all.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our, is this the second or the third one? Wow, time is flying by. Second? Third.
We've been busy. But
busy.
We didn't want to miss another Thursday. We missed last Thursday.
We missed you guys.
We did. And so we didn't want to miss another Thursday. And we're about to go see Black Panther. Who's excited about Black Panther? I'm excited.
Definitely excited.
That's happening tonight. So we had to jump on a little early. But we are excited for those who will join us while we're here and those that will,
hey, Seth.
And those that will catch up.
Yes, absolutely. So tonight we're going to be talking about coming out. So we're going to tell a little bit about our stories of coming out and explain a little bit what the whole coming out is.
Okay. So a little preface. So coming out for the LGBT community is really big, right? And so people are like, why? I love y'all too. Hey, number. Okay, I got to now look at the comments because I'll say hi to everyone. But thinking about coming out for the LGBT community is really big. And people always ask, like, why do you put so much emphasis on it? And so I want to start off and preface the conversation by we put so much emphasis on it because we live in a heteronormative world, which means that everyone is assumed to be straight unless otherwise, right? So it's not like when you're young and you say like you're dating, if you're a girl, you're automatically expected to have a boyfriend, right? And so the big deal about coming out is because everyone assumes that you're straight.
Yes.
And not everyone is straight. We know. That was so great. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Number one, coming out is not a one and done thing.
Never.
So it's a lifelong process of coming out, especially depending on who you are. And I'll talk a little bit about my story and how I come out literally daily as a part of work. And also there are multiple ways to come out. So socially with your friends, at work, corporately, with your coworkers, with your family. And so the three different levels of coming out and what that means, depending. So there's a social coming out. So social, like letting people know, social media, I guess that's what's new.
Yes.
So all different things. So it's not like you come out one time. So I know some of my students are like, I just put it on Facebook and whoever saw it, boom. Right? Back in our day, we didn't have Facebook. So therefore, thinking about how we come out. And so, hey, Jay. So shout out to all the LGBTQ plus folks who are joining us and watching us, please.
And
allies. As we're talking, ask questions. And then we're going to get to a Q&A portion when I'll scroll back and we'll answer any questions. So Shura is going to share a smidge bit about her coming out story, and then I'll share some of mine, and then we'll answer any questions that anyone wants to have, or if you want to simply add to the conversation, please do that in the comments section. And then we're going to end with sharing some advice on how you support people when they come out to you, especially for my straight allies. You have someone come out to you, don't know what to do, whether it's a sibling, a coworker, a total stranger, right? Someone trusted you enough to come out to you, because I wholeheartedly believe if someone comes out to you, they trust you and they care about you and they want you to hold something that's very sacred to them.
Yes.
So you want to go first since you're older? She's 40 now, y'all.
Yes, I am older and I am 40 and fabulous. So yeah, first too, I just want to mention that, coming out is like a person is coming to acceptance of themselves, and this is who they are at that moment. I'll say at that moment because things transition and change. So for me, I first came out when I was about 23 years old. Now, I was a person who had been having same-sex relationship for 4 years before I actually came out. And when I mean came out, told friends and family that I was having same-sex relationships. So for me, for about 4 years, I worked and I told my coworkers that she was he. So Sam was, Samantha was Sam, or, just change the name around. And I did that as well with my friends, always using him, they, and just mentioning that it was a he and not a she. And then it got exhausting, but that was my first coming out at 23. And it was a very challenging time because I had kind of created all these stories about him who didn't exist. And I came out first to my friends, and then I came out to so let me back up. I came out to some of my friends, my closest friends. And then I told my mom, and she was kind of like, okay, this is just a phase, air quotes, phase. And I came out to my siblings, and they were kind of like, okay, whatever, but they didn't take it very well either. So there was a break in our relationships, especially with my sister for a little while. She didn't understand. She didn't know if there was something that had happened to me. So it was emotionally very hard. And also at that moment, I was not living in my hometown. I was living in Maryland. So I was about 2 to 3 hours away, which made it somewhat easier because I didn't have to see everybody again until the next month or few months or holidays. So it was easy that I didn't live in my hometown, and that for me, I moved out of my hometown as I was discovering that I wanted to have same-sex relationships, but I wasn't ready for everyone who I grew up with and my family to know. So that's a short but long tidbit about how I first came out.
Wow. I feel like I learn something about your story every time I hear it.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you're still coming out to this day?
Absolutely. I feel like coming out every time I start a new job, coming out because, it's like, oh, so what's your husband's name? Don't have one of those, and it's up to me every time to decide if I want to disclose that, how I want to respond, and say yes or no or ignore it. So I feel like on a regular basis, new jobs coming out, as well as meeting people, networking with different people. People talk about family and partners all the time. So it's always an opportunity. Do I share or do I not share?
If you have any questions, for sure, this is really your platform to ask us questions. If it's one that we can't answer, we'll totally say that. But I know I'm pretty much open and excited to answer questions. So if you have questions about what it means to come out, about identities or anything, this is your time. We do have a movie at 7:30, so we're only going to be here till about 6:45. But we can also take questions afterwards.
Yes, and don't forget to like, share, send us love, hearts, thumbs up if you're understanding, if you're relating.
Yes, let us know you're there. Like,
yes.
Y'all get it. We're talking to ourselves. I see a lot of folks still hanging around. So show us some love if it's making sense or you just appreciate us for being here and being cute. So a little bit about my coming out story. Mine is pretty interesting. If you have the opportunity and privilege to know me from way back when, in 2005. Lord, I was about to say 2005. I basically fell in love with a girl. Shout out to my first love. She knows who she is. But I think first loves are important. And I didn't really have it coming out. I just had a, here's my girlfriend. And the people were like, your girlfriend? What? So that happened for about 6 months in 2005. And then when things were on an off point with us, I actually conceived Avery in 2006. So all within about 7 to 8 months, I came out and then I was pregnant. So you can imagine that people were confused. So therefore, it took me about 1.5 years after he was born to really decide what I wanted for me. And I think it was super important to be confident who I was because I was not a mother. And I spent lots of time dating men and women to figure out what I really wanted. And then finally, in about 2008, I came out. I was on the cusp of working at Temple University. It was a great time in my career just to be able to be my authentic self. And quite frankly, for my family, it was really hard. Being gay is not something that we talked about in our family. I was raised in a very Islamic and Christian household. So it took my mom about 2 years to come full circle, and now she is my biggest ally today. And so the one thing about coming out is sometimes it takes the people you come out to, especially your family, a little bit of time to develop.
Yes,
so
definitely.
That's really
be
important.
Patient with them.
You have to be patient, and I was, and now look where we're at. As far as my grandma, I love her to death. She's 88 years old, and she'll tell you to this day, I don't agree with this. But the thing I love about her is that she loves her. Yeah. And because my grandma loves Shura, that's all that matters. And she told us both to our face, like, I don't agree with what y'all doing, but I love you as a person. And that means more than anything. So you also have to meet people where they're at. Everyone isn't going to be waving a rainbow flag for you. No. That's just the reality of that. Because I came out and was pregnant in the same year, people were really confused if I got pregnant by a woman. You know, like what happened, like where did Avery come from? I'm like, Avery came from the fact that I was straight for 10 years. So Avery has a father. He was not conceived by a woman, and those are some of the misconceptions as well. But my coming out story does also consist of a lot of people who would kind of ask me on the low, like, have I been looking at them? So one thing, a myth I do want to bust, is that when people come out to you, please don't think that they've been looking at you or secretly obsessed with you. Okay. Because LGBT people have standards as well. Just like if you're straight, you don't like everyone of the opposite, right? Being a queer woman, I don't look at every woman, I'm like, ding, 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 ding. No, I'm good. Like, not even my type, boo-boo. Don't flatter yourself. So really thinking about how you respond when someone comes out is super important. Because I worked in higher ed for 12 years, specifically in LGBT services for 7 years, I had to come out a lot as a part of my job. Since when people see me, I present as if I guess I'm straight, because I guess I don't dress masculine, so we can talk about that if it's a difference for you. Mm-hmm. But most people will always ask me about a boyfriend, and I have to be like, no, I'm gay, like, have a partner, she's a woman, and I'm engaged. They're like, oh, tell me about the groom. And I'm like, oh, my bride. So I feel like I come out daily simply because there's nowhere that you see me and you see gay. Mm-hmm. So I come out every single time I go into a car, especially like automotive stores, like going to AutoZone or Pep Boys. Like, people are like, you want your husband to work on that for you? Bro, like, it's not always like a husband. So I feel like I come out constantly. When I do presentations, I can do a whole presentation on diversity or an LGBT topic, and I don't come out until the end of it, and people think I'm straight the whole time. So I come out by default as a part of the work that I do, but I'm always assumed straight, so it's a constant struggle to come out. And then lastly, I would say once we got engaged last June, I feel like I'm back on that cycle at the beginning of coming out, because now people are not just having questions about us being gay. Oh, they're having questions about what this gay wedding looks like.
Exactly. We got a question. Let's see. So Jay, how do you feel that you have had to be subtracted parts of your identity as queer women of color when you interact with different people? Yes. I have found that I'm often too queer to be Black at times, too Black to be queer in others. How do you navigate that in the workplace? Interesting.
Talk about it.
You want to take it first?
No, you go.
So for me, my background is working in technology. So first of all, there's very few African-American people, whether it's male or female, who's in technology. And navigating that space for me, honestly, it took time. It has taken time. And I think even up until today, it's still, it's still navigating that space, because every time, like I said, in work, it's always your husband. What's your husband's name? Maybe your husband, we can have a beer together or whatever. Don't have a husband, and then being one of the few or only African-American people in a company or a department. So for me, I mean, at 40, I'm comfortably being my authentic self, and, just I don't know, just going with it, like, I don't get many questions about it. I think, about it, like once I say I have a fiance or I'm engaged or anything, I don't get a lot of questions, but it's just that automatic initial assumption. Whereas for me, I normally feel like I wear masculine clothes, but yet people still assume different things. Coworker males may still try to hit on me, and I'm like, okay, look at my clothes. I'm dressed like you. We look pretty similar. But yet, males still hit on me up until, today. So for me, I just navigated by being strong in who I am, recognizing that I am who I am. God has blessed me to be intelligent. He's blessed me to
Mm-hmm.
be gifted. And, I'm going to do the job that I'm supposed to do in the workplace. So, and I think, so to add to that too, the interesting thing is too, it's normally, for me, I form relationships more with Black males or white males more than some females. So I think some Black women I've worked with, they're a little standoffish, and I don't know if it's like, they don't know, or they assume that I'm attracted to them. So the relationships are normally harder to build in the workplace with African-American women, which I normally feel like it's 2 of us or it's 3 of us. So we probably should support one another and get along, but that hasn't been the case a lot for me.
And Jay, I'm with you. Like, that's my life. I feel like sometimes when I'm with my Black friends, it's kind of like you could be gay, but not too gay, not super gay. Insider. Right? So when I'm with the Black community, and then when I'm with the queer community, it's like you could be Black, but don't be coming here with this Black power, like Black movements, like, oh. So yes, I'm always torn, and we are going to do a segment on race and the intersections of race and sexuality. So I navigate the workplace by usually finding my crew, right? And so, for example, when I walk into a space, I'm either looking for people of color or I'm looking for queer people. Those are the 2 groups that I navigate towards. But like I said, sometimes queer people are really white, and I'm like, hard for me to get like all the way down and be my authentic self. And then sometimes Black people are like, this gay thing you're talking about, everything they're talking about is so heteronormative, like that everybody is straight, but they're not. So I think you have to truly be yourself and find your people. And so I love being with queer and trans people of color. That's my people. And I also love my friends that are just Black and straight and white and gay and whatever. But I find I'm most authentic with people who share multiple identities that align with the multiple identities I have. Thank you, Yusef. Yusef said that he tells people all the time that once you come out, you can't take it back. So don't allow anyone to force you out.
So let's talk about that for a little bit. People being forced out, or you sharing that you're coming out with someone and they feel the need to share it.
Yes.
So for all of our allies that are listening and that are online or is going to watch it later, if someone shared with you that they're ready to come out, they're thinking about coming out, if they come out to you, understand it is not your responsibility. It is not fair for you to share it with whoever you choose, that this person highly respects you. They trust that this is a challenging time for them, that they're trusting to share a secret to a degree with you. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I just found out so-and-so is gay. Oh, guess what? Like, that's not fair, because that person may not be there. They may not be ready for all of that. So I would ask them before you share it, are you okay if I share it with someone? Or, just don't assume, and I think for me, I thank God that I didn't have to experience that. But I've had people, maybe say something to me and I'm like, okay, were they okay with that? So I think just being mindful that if a person comes to you and they say, they're coming out, and then also, regardless of your ideas of what you think a person is, if you think a person is, super gay and you're like, I know you gay, just come out, don't be trying to stay in a closet or whatever, don't do that, because they're not ready. They're not ready to do that. So don't force them out, and they may not be ready, not understanding what repercussions that can have, because they can possibly have suicidal thoughts, anything, if they're not ready to cross that bridge and you're trying to force them to do it. So I would definitely say don't do that.
And resources. I feel like you don't know what people's resources are. So coming out is the reality is, if some people, if they come out, it means loss of employment and loss of housing.
Yeah,
and that's real. So you can't be like, oh my God, I know you gay, won't you just come out? If you don't know what that means, that they may lose.
Exactly.
So I think that it's really important to know that so much more comes from coming out, knowing who you are on the inside and being able to, one, articulate that and then live out word like we're trying to do is a risk. It's hard. I think about all the time how we could be targeted. Right before the Orlando shooting, we were in Daytona Beach. And when we travel, we go to all the gay spots, find the people, where the people at. We were in a gay restaurant at a drag show, and I just think, like, if someone can target any place we ever are, because we're going to find community because we're out, but some people just are not even a part of that. For various different reasons. So a couple of tidbits when someone comes out to you, because hopefully you've had someone come out to you. I think it's a true blessing. The first rule of thumb was never to out anyone and never to share it unless the person tells you, like, the world knows. Most importantly, number two, don't dismiss their feelings. So a lot of times, especially for youth, when they come out, people automatically be like, oh, it's just a phase, you'll get over it. Exactly. No. Even if it's a phase, let it fizzle out on its own. Don't dismiss people's coming out. Yes. And if people come out as bisexual, don't be like, you need to pick one or the other. Or you're confused. Or you're confused. So whatever people come out as, let them be, right? Mm-hmm. Number two would be to avoid stereotyping and assumptions. So I know a lot of times back in the day when we are a little bit younger, I would come out to people and people would be like, oh my God, you do this during sex? And I'm like, pause. All I did was tell you that, like, I have a girlfriend and you just asked me about my sexual experiences. Mm-hmm. So please avoid the stereotypes and the assumptions. Sometimes they're made a lot of times, especially with gay males, where people ask, like, what kind of sex they have if they come out as gay. Totally inappropriate. So avoid that. And also just do your work in terms of educating. If this is someone you care about and they come out as this identity, but you don't know a lot about it, don't probe them with 10 million questions.
Or ask them, are they okay?
Right. Are they okay talking about it? If I ask you a
question, are you okay? Don't just assume.
And don't just ask all the questions that you're curious about. Very important. Ask the questions that help you to be a better friend and an ally to them. Mm-hmm. Don't ask the questions that are like, oh my God, I always want to know this about a gay person. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So thinking about that, I think is really, really important. Listening is super important. Listening to their coming out and then asking them how you can be a supportive to them. Think about any marginalized identity you have, right? Folks of color. You ever saw, like, a well-intended white person try to fix something for you, right? You don't want it to be fixed. You want them to ask you what you need. Yes. So I think that's important. Any other tips, babe?
I think the tips is just to, be supportive. I think listening and all that, and also checking in on this person. Like, I feel like, it's not support that we aren't always supported, that some people assume that, oh, you're gay, this is, the life you choose. And in a lot of ways, it can be harder than what people may imagine, for me, I would say another thing too, is like stereotyping people. So for me, when I came out and I dated, women who were feminine dressed and I did not, some of my family was like, well, why aren't you dressing feminine? Why don't you dress like the girlfriends you have? And it's like, okay, before I came out of being gay, this is who I was. This is the comfortability I had in the clothes that I wore. So don't assume that now, why can't I dress like them? I was forced to dress feminine as a young person because I didn't buy the clothes. So it's like, you feel like people are trying to put you in different boxes, and don't always assume that a person who's dressed masculine, that they feel certain kind of ways or they think certain kind of ways. Like, just don't put people in boxes. Going right along with that, also for feminine women who date masculine presenting women, please debunk the myth that we should just date a man, because doesn't make sense. I heard it all the time that, like, I should just date men if I want to date a woman that dressed like a man. Let's be straight. My fiance is all woman, okay? Her outer swag and appearance that is masculine presenting is sexy to me. And so women who love masculine presenting women, or studs or butches or whatever the words are for them, shout out to them, right? Because I feel like it's super, and I can't figure out how to go down. I feel like it's definitely hard because the world would say that I should date a man. And I don't want a man. I want honey. I want her. But and she's all a woman, believe that. So I think that it's really important to think about those things. Another tip is to know that just be casual. Sometimes, like, when I come out to people, they get, like, real awkward. Like, we're just regular folks.
if you hang with us, you'll be like, yo, Sure Denisa is like the most chillest couple. We do all the things that straight couples do. Like, it's really chill. So being LGBT doesn't change the person who you are.
Yes.
And when you come out to your family, for those folks that are in this community that know, the problem is your family thinks that it's going to change you. Yes. Right? It's going to change the person you are. You know, a lot of times the families will be like, well, what happened to kids? Well, being a lesbian doesn't mean my ovaries don't work. And being a gay man doesn't mean I can't adopt, foster, or have a surrogate. Right? So it doesn't mean that, it's okay. It doesn't mean that parenthood is going to be an issue. And so all the different stereotypes that come along with that. So really thinking about that and just being comfortable and also celebrating when they're in a relationship. This is my thing. For folks that are in same gender, same sex relationships, right? I feel like it isn't celebrated as much as like a straight person. So if a straight person gets a boo, you celebrating it, but like when your gay friend gets a boo, you're like awkward, like, do I say congrats? Yes, celebrate it. Celebrate their relationship. Ask them about if they're dating. Because youth will tell you all the time. So if it's 4 siblings and one of them is gay, the one young person that's gay never gets asked about if they're dating, if they like people, because people awkwardly don't know how to talk about relationships. Exactly. So I think that's for me, that's big. Any other thoughts? I can't see the questions.
I know, we're trying to scroll down, it's not happening. But yeah, like, share, ask any questions or comments. I think the next big thing I would say too is that, you know, understand when a person is coming out that, and we're going to go into it more, that there's phases and stages. So when you come out to, let's say, your family, you have a conversation with them. You know, like I said, I did mine by phone, but then I had to have a conversation when we were face to face. That conversation face-to-face with family is different than the conversation you're having possibly with coworkers or the conversation you're having with your friends. And of course, you know, we all have different friends of different levels. Some are closer than others. Some are, you know, some are just casual friends. So it's like a constant, you know, it's multiple stages of coming out is what I'm saying. So for me, my mom said it was a phase for me until maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I'll give her 5 years ago, until 5 years ago, that she felt like it was a phase. And I'm like, Mom, it's not a phase. It's been 20 years. It's not a phase. And, you know, I think she was kind of secretly still praying for her husband. And it's like, all right, Mom, you know, that's fine. But for me, I know that my mom loves me regardless of her not totally being comfortable with me having same-sex relationship, but she was hoping that I would one day get with a man and marry a man. It's like, okay, but Mom, this is going all the way. We're getting married. I'm marrying a woman. So now I think she definitely is, you know, more comfortable with it. And then also it matters who you're dating at the time. So sometimes if you're dating a person and your friends or family don't like that person and you come out and it's like, okay, the person you just came out with, they're not friendly, they're rude, you don't seem happy, that plays also into the process of coming out and how your family or friends may accept, you know, you coming out to them. Yeah. So that's important, I thought.
Gosh, I just had another big thought. Oh, dang.
She's getting old.
No, it was important. It was about, oh yes, identities are really important. So not to hold a person to the identity that they come out to. It can change. Like sexuality is fluid. You know, I'm not talking about people who, okay. So for example, a person comes out, a female comes out as lesbian. Right? And you know them back in high school and they came out as lesbian. But then 10 years later, they come out as a trans man. It's a whole different coming out process. And you're like, but wait, you came out as lesbian. But things change. And so remembering that sexual orientation and gender are two solely different things. And their sexualities change. So a person could come out as lesbian, you know, a female, but then a woman, and then think that, you know what, I'm actually pansexual, meaning like I'm attracted to all people because of who they are. I'm not just attracted to females or women. And so sexualities change, gender changes, is very fluid, which means it has it's just like water. Like it can move and it can change. And it's not like one day I wake up and I'm bi, the next day I wake up and I'm a lesbian, the next day I wake up I'm asexual. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about over years as you grow and you have experiences. I think that I feel like I missed out on is that exploration phase where I could really figure out what I wanted. But since I had so much internalized homophobia, and that I was taught from an early age that being gay meant that you were going to hell, literally, just like that. No sugarcoating it. When I knew that that was in me, I tried to get it out of me. And internalized homophobia is real, y'all. And it's an internal struggle with yourself, knowing that you are something that the world, mainly your family, or even if you think the Bible has told you is wrong. Right? And so lots of folks struggle with that and they don't come out, possibly because of religious reasons. And we're going to do a whole segment on religion.
And I think that's another environment or atmosphere that you come out in. I know for me, it took me a long time. Hey, Marty. It took me a long time to become more comfortable with the person having conversations with my church family. And they may mention something and talking about their husband or wife. And it's like, my fiance, or just responding to that differently. And it takes time, and that internal homophobia is real, and we're going to do a whole segment about that another time. But I can definitely relate to that, being in the church and just feeling like you're wrong. I'm writing a book about shame, which is a part of that too, so y'all gonna hear about the book I'm writing about shame and how I was ashamed of being gay, and how that shame, began to shape my life and me not being able to be my authentic self and reach my potential and purpose. So it's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
So I would say a couple of tidbits to end with are for young people, to support young people when they're coming out. Sometimes it's hard. So if you're in a family and a young person comes out to you, that means, yay, Marty. That means they really trust you, right? So hold that sacred. And for young people, a lot of times family members all think, and I'm going to say majority of the time, think, what will others think?
Yes.
And they don't want someone to know their son or daughter is gay or trans, because what will others think?
What is my friends going to say? What is my church family going to say?
Right? Your child, what they're going to think is you love your child unconditionally, no strings attached. So if anyone ever needs help supporting, especially a young person coming out, we're here. Please, a few people have already hit me up about this, and I love that through us doing this, that we're opening doors for us to help others. And then if an older person comes out, so someone you've known 20 years, they come out and you're like, girl, I always knew you was gay. Resist saying that.
Don't dismiss their feelings.
Don't say that. Even if you think you always knew they were gay, if they come out, let them come out and be as that adult. Don't go back, remember in high school, don't do that.
Don't do that. That's not.
So, definitely at different ages of coming out, and really support people. The statistics, and I'm not going to name any numbers, of homeless youth. So if you look at all the youth that are homeless in the United States, at least almost half of them, I'm pretty sure it's probably over half now, identify as LGBTQ. The number is large.
Very large.
Because what happens are teens are coming out and their parents are like, if you're gay, you got to get out. And they choose to get out because young people are coming out earlier and earlier and earlier in life and being supported, and some families are just like, you got to get out. So my heart, says, please don't kick your children out. And I know it's hard, but you will get through it. And it's a hard process to understand. And I would say to start by familiarizing yourself with the terminology, because a lot of times people are so apprehensive about LGBT stuff, including coming out, because they just simply don't understand.
And it doesn't mean, I think a big thing too is parents, just like Anissa mentioned it, some parents just feel that my child is now going to become this other person now that they've come out and they've said they're gay, that they're going to become this new person the next day. Their mind, their emotions, everything is still the same. It's just who they prefer to have relationship with, has changed, or now about it. They may have had these feelings, all their lives. For me, I thought I had some attraction to women all my life. I didn't know how to articulate it. I didn't know what it meant. So I said, okay, I'm old enough to date. I should probably date a guy because I was raised that that's what you do. So that's what I did. I dated guys because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And then it was like, okay, this isn't for me. I did what I was supposed to do, but this isn't for me. So, you know, it's like you have to give people give them time, especially a lot of young people are more liberated now than before we were. Coming out, expressing what they like and dislike as young as, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. They're saying, I'm attracted to this or that. Whereas for me growing up, I didn't know how to articulate it. And I just kind of went with what I was raised and told to do. But this new generation of millennials, they're like open, like, no, I don't like oranges or apples. I don't want it.
Two things I'm going to forget. Challenge parents to talk about this. So you should talk about this with your partner tonight if you're parenting or co-parenting. Two things to talk about with your parent. What I hear a lot of folks say, folks that I call friends, is my daughter can be a lesbian, but my son can't be gay.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, that's just a topic for the whole nother live.
That's a whole nother topic.
But I challenge you to talk to your partner or your co-parent about that, because I hear it, and I do hear it more from the guys. So the guys saying that my son can't be gay, but if my daughter is a lesbian, it's okay. So please talk about that. Your son being gay, also, I've heard this from a parent in particular, means you think that your son is going to have AIDS. So do your history and do your research, right? Yeah, super gay body. Do your research, because actually the highest rates of individuals that have the HIV virus or AIDS, the disease, is Black women. Yes. Straight Black women.
Heterosexuals.
Right? And so that's just a whole nother gamut. But do your history before you speak stuff onto your children, right? As well, really important. But it's important to have that conversation. So if my children come out as gay, what does that mean? And it's the change based on their gender, really important. And oh gosh, what was the other one?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was it. So I think that's important, but we're going to do a live exactly about that. I think that's going to be really good. And so I think I would just like to end with saying, be open-minded about life and things in general, because anything can happen to us at any time that changes anything, right? We were in a car accident and now we don't have any limbs. Now we are disabled, and it doesn't, none of that changes the person you are in here.
Yes.
Right? And so seeing people for who they are on the inside is what we want to spread, and their sexual orientation or gender identity is just a component of who they are. Exactly. I know Shura would agree, but I'm more than just being gay. Yes, like there's so more to me than just being gay. That's just a part of who I am, and it's what people see. So coming out is not a one-time thing. It does need and require support and listening ears. And if you feel like you're not equipped to do that, lead them to someone who can.
And I just want to also challenge those who are not parents, who may be aunts and uncles. That definitely, you know, consider the next time you're hanging out with your niece or nephew, just ask them, like, hey, you know, is there anyone cute in your school that you like, anyone you checking out? Don't automatically assume that they have, you know, the opposite sex they're attracted to. Like, leave it open and just say, hey, is there anybody cute? Did you get any Valentine's Day from anyone special? Just leave it open. Don't just say, oh, did you get anything?
Inclusive language.
Yes, inclusive language. If you have a son, don't automatically say, oh, did you give any of the cute girls, you know, something, or did you get anything from a cute girl? Be open. I mean, yes, it may be scary and maybe a little nervous to see what the answer is, but and you know, if you're, you know, aunt, uncle, you know, ask them, have the conversation, because I feel like if we start some of these conversations early, we can help reduce some of the suicide rates that these young people are having, because they have no one to talk to, they have no one to express these feelings to, and they have to keep them bottled up. They can't, you know, mention them around their family or friends. And also be mindful of conversations that adults say about gay people. You know, if you say something mean about gay people, oh my goodness, so-and-so is gay. That better not never happen in my house. Or just saying negative thing about gay people. If there's young people listening and kids listening, think about that.
Or trans people.
or trans people. Think about that. If us adults say negative or mean things about gay or trans people, is your child really going to have the courage to say anything to you about them having a gay or trans friend, or them possibly themselves being gay or trans? So let's be mindful of the conversations we have around our kids about how we feel, because we also shape them and how they'll respond.
What is that? You are so amazing. So we gotta go. We about to go see Black Panther, y'all. Turn up.
Yes, we're going.
I'm excited, and we're going on vacation tomorrow. So please like and share and stay in contact with us. We are excited about what God is doing in our lives.
Yes, definitely.
We are excited to pour out into the world, and whoever fills up because of us, our job is done.
Yes.
If it's one person, I know we can fill one person's cup.
One person.
So we love y'all. We see y'all. We appreciate y'all. Get out there and see Black Panther this weekend. Don't buy no bootleg. We need the money. We need this movie to skyrocket in sales. I wholeheartedly believe in that. We can do this as people because we support when we want to.
Yes.
And stay tuned, because we'll be in sunny Florida, and it's 85 there right now. So we'll be sharing some.
Don't forget to like, share this video so that it can touch more lives and reach more people. Feel free to ask any questions later, or shoot us any private inboxes to our personal or to the Believe Outward page. So thank you all, and have an amazing night. We're looking forward to next Thursday.
I don't even know. We didn't talk about what we were going to talk about.
We didn't talk about what we're talking about.
Oh, well. We got it. We're on there. But until then, we're rooting for everybody black.
Everybody black.
Let's go.
See you.
Peace.
Let's go.